What's up, everybody? Alex here. Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to an episode of What's on Tap, the beer and vinyl weekly wrap, or whatever the subtitle kind of is to that. These are some videos I do every once in a while. It's usually a Friday, and I crack open a beer, usually a nice beer, and just talk about music and beer, because that's, I guess, what beer and vinyl does. So, I got a bunch of records to show, just what I've been listening to, what's been going on here, as well as a beer. So let's get to the beer drinking time. Going with the local one. Now, it has been gorgeous here. I mean, you can tell we got blue skies all behind me here. It's about 64 degrees today, which for me is perfect. And so I was thinking about what am I going to drink? What am I going to drink for, this episode? And I was like, you know what? We're nearing, obviously, getting into the summertime. It's IPA time, people. Let's get after it. So we got a local one. This is from Derive Brewing. They're out of Columbus. I will say, I'm not crazy about the actual art itself. I think it's fine. It's, they're a tiny place. But I am a sucker for the actual black can with the black top. I think that is pretty dope. So obviously you just get like the label sticker on there. But this is Canary Diamonds. This is a DDH. Now, for the non-aficionados out there, DDH in beer terms means double dry hopped. Won't go in too much what that means, but obviously it just means that it's dry hopped, double the amount. Dry hop means that the hops are added, or a number of hops are added after the boiling process and all that kind of nonsense. Theoretically, dry hopping does not add to bitterness, but it adds to flavor and aroma. Anyway, double dry hopped Hazy IPA with Citra Dynaboost. I've never heard of the Dynaboost. Idaho 7 and Nelson Sauvin hops. I believe Nelson is a New Zealand hop. Again, sorry for the non-beer people, but each obviously hop gives off a different type of flavor, has a different type of profile to it, but specifically hops that are geographically driven will also offer a different type of geographic flavor to them. A lot of that depends on the temperature, how close it is to the equator, other types of climate things. So, for example, the heaviest concentration of hops, I believe, in the world is up in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest. I mean, ton up there in the Yakima Valley in Washington and so forth and so on. But there's also a lot of hops in New Zealand and Australia. And the New Zealand and Australian hops, because of where they are geographically, typically will yield a little bit of a spicier or more peppery sort of hop profile. So when I say spicier, it's like it doesn't taste like Frank's, but I'm saying like there's a spice note to the hops where some of the other hops might give off more of like a pine or a fruity or something like that. Typically, hops that south of in the southern hemisphere will give off more of a spice note. So there you go. That's what we're talking about. You can roll these. It's fine, especially in Hazy IPA. Sediment will form. I give these a roll just in case, that sediment needs to get mixed in there. It's not going to affect anything, but let's get after it. We are using our Teku, one of my favorites. Not a wine glass, it's a Teku. You can kind of tell by the lip on top there. So let's get after it. 7.2% Hazy IPA. So should come out hopefully pretty turbid looking. Shouldn't be able to see through it. Good kind of orangey grapefruit like quality. Let's give it a shot here. Oh, it looks the part. Oh man, does that look the part. Oh my goodness gracious. That is a hazy beer right there, people. I mean, I'm seeing how that's shown up on camera, and it's even more turbid. And I mean, it looks like kind of like a peach smoothie. For you classic beer drinkers, you're probably looking at that going, what in the hell is that? But that is a Hazy IPA. It's got some heft to it. Let's get a nose on it. And it smells like a Hazy IPA. Big fruity vibes. Grapefruit, orange. There's a good like hop kind of bitter quality there. Not when I say hop bitter quality, I don't necessarily mean it's going to be a bitter beer, although a lot of times IPAs are. But when you get this hazy, it tastes so much like a juice bomb. The hops are there to balance out the amount of kind of that fruit and turbid flavor that's in there. And so it does have that good hop backbone to it where you can still get a lot of those hops. Good grain, all that. Man, that is just a thing of nasty. Whew. All right, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. That is everything I wanted. Ooh, and needed. Damn. I will say right off the jump, mouthfeel on this is incredible. I could tell when I poured it, there was like a certain heft to it. Like this is a thick beer, but still refreshing. Again, it's 7.2%, so it's up there in the ABV a little bit, but it is such a fluffy, creamy, gooey mouthfeel. Still got the carbonation of it, but the way it just kind of swirls around. I mean, you could like chew this. It is so pillowy. Like, it almost feels like a heavy stout. And I get big grapefruit. Leaning on grapefruit pith, though. It's not an overly sweet beer. Big grapefruit pith. And when I mean pith, that is essentially the area of the fruit between the fruit itself and the skin. It's that like white pithy area between there. Gives off that strong, semi-bitter, but not, not off-putting sort of flavor. Oh, man. It's fantastic. There is, a little bit of what would be perceived as heat, which is interesting. Again, only 7.2%, which, hey, I mean, if you're drinking like Natty, that's a lot. But there is a little bit of heat there. You can tell there's alcohol there. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. It reminds you that you're drinking beer and you're drinking something that's 7.2%. But man, I just this is doing it for me. This is fantastic. Give it a little swish. Oh yeah, and there you are. And now we got the floaties. Yeah, it's okay. You see? Oh yeah, you can see them. I won't worry about it. Yeah. Ooh. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. 4.25. All right. 7.5 minutes of beer talk. Let's get into some records. So this first part is kind of going to be a little bit of a review of some of the videos or things I've done over the past week. It was 1 week today that I saw one of the best concerts of my life. And so I want to go ahead and talk about that again. I did a whole video on it, but I got a chance to see Nick Cave here in Columbus. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. This is the album that came out last year, Wild God, that he was touring in support for, and loved this record. And yeah, it was funny. It was, like I said, I did a whole video on it, and it was one of the best shows I've ever experienced in my life. I kind of walked out of there, and I was like, you need to be a Nick Cave fan, like a big fan. So I started buying shit, because that's the problem that we run into. And I bought a lot of stuff. There is going to be an upcoming video with me and a semi-famous member of the vinyl community talking all things Nick Cave here in the coming weeks. And I've gotten a lot. The two that are really sticking out for me that I am absolutely loving is No More Shall We Part. This just kind of fits that introspective singer-songwritery type stuff that I really, really connect with Nick. So this has done a lot for me. And then just from like the poetry side and just sort of loving the themes of this, I'm also going to give a highlight to this record here, Murder Ballads. I mean, who doesn't love a murder ballad? Including like the 14-minute O'Malley's Par. What a track that is. So I'm all in again on Nick Cave. I've gotten a good amount of these records, but he's got a big discography, big catalog, so there's a lot to do. 2 weeks ago, a week ago, Jesus. I posted an interview with M. Ross Perkins, a singer-songwriter who's on the Coal Mine label. And then the next day I got to actually see him live. It's been cool, actually. I've seen this record shown by a couple people. I saw this actually shown by Sam St. John, of course, or Americana Sam. Randall Weaver showed this record. And then it was cool to hear that Jeff Witcher is also a fan of this artist, which is really cool. But this is the latest from M. Ross Perkins. I talked about this, a lot in the interview. But, a lot of people, it's like he's on Coal Mine, but he's on Karma Chief, which is the sort of the sister label that does not specialize in like funk, soul, R&B, right? So if you associate Coal Mine with that type of stuff, great, you should, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff on the label too. This is like picture perfect psychedelic pop stuff. In fact, I mean, I think the hype sticker kind of gives it away here with medicinal basement pop. Absolutely, for sure. Big Nilsson vibes. You get some Beatley vibes here. You get some Emmett Rhodes vibes. You get some Colin Blunstone vibes. You get a little bit of everything here. Kind of a do-it-yourself sort of thing too. He plays everything. He's playing the drums, the keys, the guitar. He's singing all the different stuff. But I got a chance to see him here a day after the release. He was doing an in-store at Used Kids Records here in Columbus, and it was cool. I got him to sign it for me and a bunch of other shit. So, yeah, again, if you don't know this record, you should know. Also, you have a week, if you haven't already, to go back to the interview. I'll have it posted below. If you're in the lower 48, all you got to do is comment on the video with your favorite artist that has a connection to Ohio. So it could be an Ohio artist. It could be a record that was, produced here, whatever. But basically, I'm going to give one of these away, and because I think it's great, and I want it in the hands of somebody else. So, yeah, check that out. If you leave a comment talking about your a band or an artist with an Ohio connection, then you can do that. A couple days ago, I had a great. I thought it was a great video. I had a great time with my friend Jason Arsenault, who used to make videos on YouTube. He still has a channel, but he's on a permanent hiatus, as it were. And we did a 5 favorites. This is kind of a series I put together of partnering with someone and us talking about our 5 favorite records when it comes to a certain theme. And because it was him and I, we were like, you know what? Let's do 5 favorite records to drink beer to. And then after doing the video, I was like, dang, you should go listen to those records again. So here are a few that I, of course, pulled out. Was the classic Tres Hombres from ZZ Top, 1973. I love early ZZ Top, especially. The later stuff, I'm not as crazy about. It's good for what it was, and it sold a gazillion copies, talking about like Eliminator and, Devaluator or Numerator and all that kind of stuff. But to me, it's the first 3, 4, 5-ish ZZ Top records that are just king, especially these first 3. Tres Hombres is the one. Of course, the classic Gatefold that everybody wants to see. How bad or how good does that look right now? You tell me. But man, when you think about albums starting, Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago into Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. I mean, come on. What a way to start a record. And what a record to drink some beers to, which was a great time. Of course, after that, I was like, man, this was one of the first ones we showed. It's one of the best live albums of all time. Fillmore East from the Allman Brothers. A perfect live record. One of the best, if not the best live record of all time. Memory of Elizabeth Reed is just incredible. Whipping Post, all this, everything on here is just absolutely amazing. For any of you label snobs out there who like to see the original stuff on the Pink Capricorn, there you go. But yeah, I mean, another great album to just drink some beers to, right? This was sort of the dark horse that came out of the conversation. I wanted to include this, and again, spun it. Blew my mind again, man. Baby Huey, the living legend. If you don't know Baby Huey, he was a singer, artist, entertainer, a big boy. A big boy. Who died when he was 26. This was a record that was actually released in 1971 posthumously. On the Curtom. Anyway, label, but this is psychedelic soul. It's rock. It's in your face. He's doing some incredible vocal gymnastics. Just amazing kind of funk, soul, psychedelic rock and roll type stuff. Amazing. As I said in that video, I'll say it here too. If for nothing else, this record, for his cover rendition, interpretation of California Dreamin' from the Mamas and Papas, is just fucking smacks my ass. So always a good time. So yeah, those are some that I listened to sort of in celebration of that video and or getting ready for it. Here's a couple of records I spun today, actually, and each of these kind of has a little bit of a theme to it. Hold your fucking pants there while I take a sip. God, that's good. It's good, but it's also like, not a but, it's good, and there's a reason that people can't drink like a million of these things. I mean, this thing probably got like 300 calories. For me, I mean, that's like 3.5 bags of tuna, All right, 3 records to show here. I spun each of these today. It's kind of fun. This is a comp, but I think it's a good comp, and it's a worthwhile comp. Yesterday's from Yes. So this came out, I believe, in 75, sort of during that Yes hiatus when people went out and made all their solo records, all that type of stuff. And it is that sort of comp that is not untypical of bands that get pretty big, where they say, let's go back and release their early stuff that no one knows about and nobody cares about, right? So they're fresh off the heels of what? Relayer, Topographic Oceans, obviously Close to the Edge, the Yes album, Fragile, all that type of stuff. But, a lot of casual Yes fans just assume that the Yes album was their debut. But between Time and a Word and Yes, yeah, right? Yes. Is it just self-titled? Sorry, beer hitting already. They had some other stuff that was going on before, Steve Howe was in the band, all this type of stuff. So Yesterday's, this was the comp that really encompasses some of the stuff from the first two records, as well as some additional extra stuff, right? One of the tracks that's on here is their kind of 10, 11-minute proggy version of America by Simon & Garfunkel. I know there's a lot of people who love that, and I like it. It's just, it's so different, right? Like, it's not them covering America. It is them doing a completely different interpretation of it, which is great, because I don't want to hear, I don't really want to hear anybody doing a cover of America. I would rather have somebody do like a full different interpretation of it than that. But this was also, I believe, this was the last record that they had Roger Dean do the artwork for before jumping over to Hypnosis for some of the other stuff. So yeah, a cool comp. Yesterday's. It's called. It's a pretty cheap record. You can find it most places. This was a record I have not listened to in a long time, and I kind of loved it. A band that a lot of people talk about, a New York band, but they always lean towards their early stuff, and those early records are amazing, especially those first three. This tells me I need to get my ass in shape. Well, that's a dead mission. I need to get back into the place where people who make videos on YouTube, when you're like, I don't know, in the shower or at work, taking a shit, well, you're doing something and you're like, that would be a great idea for a video. But then you never actually do it. We need to do that. We need to be better at making those. And this is part of a video I want to do where it's like, these bands were somehow able to capture commercial viability and success. Like, it's a great, accessible, amazing record that the masses love, but also like the old school fan loves too, right? And this is one of them. I loved this record a lot, and it's Blue Oyster Cult's Fire of Unknown Origin. Now, the first Blue Oyster Cult song I probably ever heard came off this record. Burnin' For You was everywhere. I mean, that is still a staple on, I probably have heard Burnin' For You on classic rock radio more than Don't Fear the Reaper or Godzilla or, some of these other things. But this is an incredible record that, again, like, it is hard rock. It sounds like BOC. There is like this poppy, artsy accessibility element to this. And there's a reason. Blue Oyster Cult fans love this album. And it's near the top a lot of times, right? It's like, they'll go like Secret Treaties and then this. But I mean, I just absolutely love this. There's hooks galore, but it still sounds like it's so artsy and creative and weird and quirky like they always are. But it was certainly worth mentioning for me. Blue Oyster Cult, Fire of Unknown Origin from 1981. A really cool record, and I'm glad that I spun that because I had not listened to it for a long time, and I'm just pumped that I did. Here's one I'm doing a little bit of homework for. I'll be in a video here soon on the famous Sea of Tranquility. I wish it would. Well, it is famous, and it's cool that I get to go on there every once in a while, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. The point is, I'm doing some homework, and we're talking about the year 1967, and talking about maybe records that are not talked about all the time, right? So, like, especially in the Sea of Tranquility pantheon, which is a lot of hard rock, a lot of prog, a lot of proto-metal, a lot of classic rock, right? So, like, we've heard enough about the Doors and Jimi Hendrix and all these different stuff. Like, what are some of those other albums that came out in 67 that are not reflected in those shows? And the one that I picked was this record here, Something Else by the Kinks. Now, people who are Kinks fans love this record, obviously, and people who are not Kinks fans probably don't know this record. The Kinks are just an interesting little project because Americans typically have a very different perspective, right? We came in with like a lot of the like arena rock type stuff. We were there for You Really Got Me, and then like kind of were there for Lola, and then like came back like 10 years later for something else. But those records between Kink Controversy, Face to Face, this one, something else, and then Village Green, all sort of were just lost because of a lot of different things that were going on between the Davies brothers and the unions here and all that kind of stuff. But this is such a amazing kind of British Baroque pop, artsy, quirky, weird, fun, happy, joyful, sad project. I don't know, man. Most importantly, well, two things here. A, Waterloo Sunset's a top five song of all time. Waterloo Sunset might be the best song of all time. I don't know. That's what closes the record off. A lot of people know Waterloo Sunset. And then for me, though, I fuck with Death of a Clown. I mean, maybe because that might be like the name of like, maybe that's like written on my tombstone, you know, right? Like a loving brother, son, you know, Funkle, the Death of a Clown. But Death of a Clown's great. And there's a lot of really cool stuff on here. And nothing else really sounded like this then or after. So that's what I'm talking about on the taping of the show. It's something else by the Kinks, which I'm excited for. Last and certainly not least, I want a couple of new records, right? A couple of new records that have gotten some fun spinning. A lot of people have shown this, but it's amazing, so I'm going to show it too. And I did pick up Pink Floyd at Pompeii. Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. I think the packaging's great. The poster, I'm a big Steven Wilson fan, so knowing that he had his hands on it, good stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, there's enough famous people on YouTube that have talked about this, but I'm in for it, man. You know, it's just interesting to think that we never, A, that this is the first time that it was actually like formally released, and B, that for a band like Pink Floyd, and you think about their live albums, right? I don't really count Uma Guma. This fell in slightly after that, but we didn't get an official release of this until, you know, yesterday, basically. And then you kind of go all the way to, what, Delicate Sound of Thunder? 1987? You know, to think that you don't have for a band like Pink Floyd, where their prime, right, that heyday was between 71 and 79, right? That there's not like the official 3-hour live record from the Animals tour or from Wish You Were Here or, you know, like that type of stuff, right? It's just interesting to me. But they got a complicated situation going on, so I'll give them that. And last, look, I don't believe in guilty pleasures, but I think this is going to shock a number of y'all. I think this is one of the funnest bands in the entire world. Going back in time when I was probably 14 or 15, they had one song that just blew up. It was probably everywhere. It was kind of annoying. I understand why people didn't like it and like this band. I had their second record, and I loved it. Now, that was like 14-year-old Alex loved it, right? So who knows? Then the singer, I think he had some substance issues, was in and out of rehab for whatever reason, and then probably around COVID time came back big time with like a pretty successful podcast and YouTube channel. And so I feel like people are like paying attention to this record more. But it is the latest from the darkness. This is Dreams on Toast. Now, shout out to my sister who was kind enough to send me this record after I told her, I was like, dude, that Darkness record, it kind of fucking slaps. And she sent it to me. I'm like, thank you. That means a lot. But I heard, look, it kicks off with a rock and roll party cowboy. Look, I know it's silly. I know it's dumb. But like, you can take the art and the song seriously without taking yourself seriously. And I think that's kind of where they're at, right? It is just good old-fashioned, fun, throwback, glammy rock and roll. And I also didn't realize, you know, it's the Hawkins brothers, Justin Hawkins singing, playing guitar, Dan Hawkins doing some guitar. I believe their bass player is still the original guy from 20 years ago. And then their drummer is Roger Taylor's kid. I mean, it's a pretty legit lineup, and it's just good old-fashioned throwback glam rock with a little tongue-in-cheek, just some fun stuff. I'm pretty sure Hot on My Tail is about getting the runs, which is hilarious. There's just some great stuff on here, totally. So I'm all in. I think it's a great record. It's going to end up somewhere on the top 10 list at the end of the year. Or maybe not top 10, but we'll find out, right? Don't want to bury the lead. And so there you have it, people. Thanks for joining another What's on Tap. We're going to finish this nasty-looking, milkshake-looking thing. and then crack into open to some other ones. But hope you all have a good weekend yourselves, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers, everybody. Bye.